Hello and welcome to Chevy Cool Lady. This is Chevy, and I'm bringing you a very important message today, and this is telling your story, putting your experiences of coercive control in writing. Let me tell you why you should listen. You're going to learn how to document coercive control effectively. Lady, this is Chevy bringing you some important information. Coercive control, what is it? It's a pattern of behavior designed to manipulate and control you, keeping you from being able to think clearly. Coercive control. This particular episode is about telling your story, documenting in a comprehensive way your experiences of coercive control. There are so many reasons for you to listen to this today. I want to first add the disclaimer that I am not an attorney. I am not offering legal advice. I am offering practical ways for you to document your story so in the future, should you go to mediation, seek an attorney, or have other legal issues where you want to present a true and accurate description of your experience with an abuser, coercive control case. While this is not legal work, this is tips and suggestions on making your documentation clear and concise. All right, so what we're going to do is go over the organization of evidence. Presenting clear and organized records of coercive control incidents is vital. Uh, there's best practices for compiling and presenting the evidence. So we're going to include what's important so that you can tell your story and have it presented in a credible way. Documentation is everything. I can't stress it enough. Are you ready to tell your story? You have a voice. Being in a coercive relationship has taken your voice and your free thought from you. And I'm here to help you regain it. I'm all about restoration. And we're going to work together to present some helpful things to extract yourself safely from a toxic marriage or relationship. Thank you for joining me. We've established that coercive control is a pattern of behavior. So documenting these instances and showing the pattern is vital. We're going to go over these things in this video. I really appreciate you joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe. We're trying to get the good word out to help people who have been in Micah's situation, who are victims of coercive control, who need help and don't know where to turn. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe this information might reach the ear of somebody who really needs it. That is my prayer and my purpose. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all of you. Please let me know where you're listening from. I'm real interested in your stories. Feel free to email me. Feel free to message me. I answer all of my comments. You guys mean the world. As for the laws that cover coercive control, we're going to break it down for you in some simple definitions. Please bear with me. I'm going to have AI go ahead and read this.
It is
so that
unlawful
there's
for
a
a person
full
to
and complete
repeatedly or
understanding
continuously engage
of
in a
what
course of behavior
the
towards another
coverage
person that is coercive or controlling when both persons are personally connected, and which results in a person causing the victim to fear, on at least 2 occasions, that violence will be used against the victim, or which results in mental distress to the victim, resulting in a substantial adverse effect on the victim's day-to-day activities. Bill 3621. Coercive Control. South Carolina Legislature.
Coercive control laws in most states update existing domestic abuse legal definitions to include coercive control. Behaviors that might be considered coercive control, including isolation, economic abuse, monitoring, degradation and verbal abuse, threats of harm, threats to release private information, damaging property or forcing the individual to take part in criminal activity or child abuse. Other state laws are less specific and might refer to acts against an intimate partner, limiting that person's right to freedom of movement and association. Consider controlling or coercive behavior as a form of domestic abuse if it causes the recipient to experience fear of violence on at least 2 occasions, or causes serious alarm or distress which has a substantial adverse effect on the recipient's usual day-to-day activities. Who is covered? Many state definitions of domestic abuse are restricted to household members and/or family members. This leaves less protected those people who do not, or no longer, share a home, or who are not married. The best laws on coercive control include situations where the perpetrator and the victim are personally connected. This acknowledges that abuses often occur after separation, and that abuse is sometimes perpetrated by members of the abuser's circle, in addition to the primary abuser. Child custody law includes a rebuttal presumption that awarding child custody to someone who has perpetrated coercive control is detrimental to the best interests of the child. This means that the responsibility falls on the coercively controlling person and their attorney to prove why they are safe to receive shared custody. This law makes it more difficult for judges to award child custody to coercively controlling domestic abusers. To include coercive control in considering the best interest of the child in custody deliberations. Technology. Several laws elaborate on the definition of coercive control to include abuse through technology. Abusers increasingly torment their partners, exes, and children through computers, cell phones, smart homes, and the internet. Damaging property. Some laws consider destroying or threatening to destroy property a form of domestic abuse for the purposes of protective orders. Abusive litigation or legal abuse. Several proposed and approved laws prohibit a person found to have abused an intimate partner from filing a frivolous lawsuit against their victim for the purpose of harassing, intimidating, threatening, or maintaining contact with the other party. Sexual abuse by the intimate partner. Connecticut's Jennifer's Law expands the definition of domestic abuse to include forced sex acts and threats of a sexual nature, including threatening to release sexual images. Remote testimony. To further protect victims of domestic abuse from the potential terror of confronting their abusers face-to-face in court, Connecticut's law allows people who have a restraining or protective order to file charges and give testimony remotely. Exceptions to laws against wiretapping. In 11 states, the permission of all parties is required to record a video or phone call. Domestic violence victims have been charged with wiretapping felonies related to recording their ex-partners' threatening calls, recordings that judges have found extremely useful for issuing protective orders. Coercive control domestic abuse laws should include a carve-out for people who recorded another party to protect themselves or others from a domestic abuse crime. While these laws typically do not mention coercive control specifically, they implicitly acknowledge that targets of coercive control will often refrain from prosecuting their domestic partners for abuse and sexual assault during a relationship but may want to pursue these charges once they have achieved safety.
Domestic abuse is about a pattern of domination, intimidation, and deliberately impeding the rights of one's intimate partner. This is called coercive control. Increasingly, legislators across the United States are passing laws that include explicit references to coercive control. These laws are designed to address damage inflicted apart from the physical violence. A pattern of coercive controlling behavior precedes, motivates, and increases the likelihood of physical violence in a relationship. Offenders who exercise control over their partner's daily activities are more than 5 times more likely to kill them than other domestic abusers. In a remarkable 20% of domestic homicides, the murder was the first act of physical violence. But these were almost always preceded by coercive and controlling behavior. It's important to address the coercive control not only because it will reduce intimate partner homicides, it's essential because one person should not be able to deny another person's basic freedoms with the excuse of being married or in a relationship. Documenting coercive control effectively is crucial for legal and personal safety reasons. Here are some strategies to consider. I would suggest making screen recordings of this or jotting it down in a record keeper for yourself. 1. Keep detailed records. Document every incident, including dates, times, locations, and descriptions of what happened. Be as specific as possible. Sit down with a calendar if you need to. If you have witnesses, pictures, or any supportive evidence, include it. This is important. Number 2, use a consistent format. Maintain a consistent format for your records to make them easier to understand and present. This could be a journal, a digital document, or a dictated app. 3, include evidence. Collect any evidence that supports your claims, such as emails, text messages, photos, and videos. Make sure to date and timestamp them if possible. 4, witness statements. If there were witnesses to any incidents, get their statements in writing. Their accounts can be valuable in legal proceedings. 5, seek professional help. Consult with a lawyer or domestic violence advocate who can guide you on how to document your experiences effectively and legally. I will include links to South Carolina's advocates in the description. And 6, and this is really number 1, stay safe. Stay safe. Ensure that your documentation does not put you at further risk. Do not leave this where it can be found. This is top level security for you. Keep records in a safe place and consider using a secure digital storage. These things are very important. I really can't stress enough how vital this could play. These documents could play in presenting your case.
I felt like I was going mad. No one else could see what was going on.
I never thought anything like this could happen to me.
Coercive control is a pattern of deliberate abuse, over time leaving the victim intimidated, dependent, and isolated. It can be hard to see, but coercive control is a crime.
He's such a handsome man. When we were first married, he charmed everyone. I felt so lucky. I couldn't put my finger on when it changed. It wasn't one thing he did. It happened bit by bit.
Why are you wearing that dress?
I could never predict what would upset him.
Those heels. I can't stand the sound they make.
From the outside, we look like the perfect couple. A teacher married to a doctor. But inside, I feel like a hostage. He told me who I'm allowed to talk to and who I'm not allowed to talk to. And then he acted like it was all just a joke. It wasn't. He's deadly serious. He gets the kids to tell him who I see and where I go. He told me he'd put hidden cameras in the house to watch me when no one's there.
After I passed my accountancy exams, I had a good salary. But he controlled every penny I spent. He even kept a spreadsheet. In the supermarket, I'd stand in front of the cereals, scared stiff about what he might do if I chose the wrong kind.
He complains that I don't call him enough, then that I call him too much. He gets into my email and deletes things. And he sends messages from my account.
You're a useless mother. You get everything wrong. You're losing it.
The way he undermines me, it makes me doubt myself. What if I make mistakes in front of the class? Is it all in my head?
He'd smash a plate right beside me and then laugh at me when I flinched. He knew he didn't have to hit me to keep me under control. He'd get angry, then apologise.
You know I love you, but you make me lose my temper. It's your fault.
I thought I'd be safe if I towed the line.
He kept coming to see me at my work, to check up on me. My colleagues thought it was sweet that he was so attentive. He told them,
She needs a lot of attention. She's a wee bit unstable.
I felt too ashamed to tell them what's going on at home. So I left my job. It's like I don't know who I am anymore.
It got so I couldn't go out at all, not even into the garden. He'd hide my medication to punish me. And when his family came round, he acted like husband of the year. I just couldn't bear to tell them the truth. I had no one to talk to.
He says I hurt him. He says he'll kill himself. I feel so guilty. He told me if I ever try to leave him,
I'll cancel your visa. You'll have nowhere to go. You'll bring shame and dishonor on the family. You'll never see the kids again.
I'm trapped. What have I done wrong?
All it took was one person to ask me the right questions. Then I began to open up. I started to see I'm not mad. I started to see the patterns in what he did to me. It's taking a long time to find myself again. Yesterday, someone offered me a cup of tea, and I automatically asked, am I allowed?
Coercive control is against the law. It's a pattern of behaviour that's not obvious at first, but does real damage. And it's a crime.
I wish there was someone I could talk to.
When one person listened to me and believed me, I started to get my life back.
DV is an epidemic that must be stamped out. Coercive control is a crime. I am located in South Carolina. SCCADVASA.org, South Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, offers basic training for people who want to get involved. There are training and events in most of the counties in South Carolina as well as other states. Because I'm in South Carolina, the place where Micah was victimized, I'm providing this information. But DV is a global tragedy, and there is help. You have to open up selectively and carefully to the right person so that you can regain your voice, your power, and get out of that situation. Be safe